Look at my guys. Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game. This is the best part of my day right here. I hope Steiny ain't listening. Hey, Willard and Dibs, how are you?
Hey, don't worry, he's not.
Yeah.
He might be in the car now.
Well, it can't be the best part of this day. I mean, in general, your day, and I do enjoy this. It's one of the best parts of my day for sure, but the best part of your day today, it had to have been the chef. And the chef demanded that you take a picture with him as I'm hearing it?
I'm getting out the car, coming out of the garage, on the street, mind you, and I see this hooded guy down the street down yonder. So I clutched my wallet first, like, something happened.
Wow.
I'm in this. And then I said, that's the chef. And guys, he was on the phone. I'm from Union City, California. I have etiquette. So I said, this ain't the time. So I gave him the bro, what's up? He gave it to me. And then he goes, hold on. Whoever he was talking to. Could have been the missus. And then he says, you guys
been
working?
Obama.
Yeah, you guys working here today? I said, yeah. And, I misremember, can we get a pic? And that's how the photo got taken.
Well, yes. Your comment as you were rolling through this on the air the very, very first time, where you're like, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then Steph wanted a pic. And then we moved on with our day, and Steiny called you on it, and for you to follow up with, well, I mean, I don't know. Let's not get into finer details about who wanted what. Goo, I'm calling you out further. There's no way you don't remember.
Only Steph and I know.
You remember this moment in slow motion. It is emblazoned in your head. This was not a dream. It was reality. There's a picture on the internet.
Shout out Biggie.
I just sent you a quote
Word Up
tweet.
Magazine.
By the way, I just sent you a quote tweet to your tweet. Okay. So you want to check that out. But come on, man. Don't be that way to the audience and say you don't know who asked who for a pick. Let's go. What was said in slow motion, please?
He asked, were we working here today? I said, Jep, if you got time, come up. And then we did that. Some other stuff I can't get into, the chef and myself.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
What happens with the chef stays with the chef.
And then we got this ongoing thing, Willard, because last time we were together, I on air said, can we get a pic? Because my kids would kill. I put it on the kids. They'd kill me, right? So, I broke out the phone. I said, we got to get one. He said it's all good, and there it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do remember. You remember exactly what was said.
Yes, I do.
It was an initiation sensation.
That's a buck.
Good for you.
Also, when you work with Steiny, as I have and as he has for a number of years now, it comes across better when you let Steiny get on the back foot.
Okay.
When you get him on his heels.
Right.
When the very notion that, first of all, if it was Steiny outside, the chef would have blown right by Steiny. He wouldn't have even said you working here. But so Goo got the stop and chat, as we like to say, and then it could have been. It's plausible that the chef would have been like, Guru, I'm gonna need a picture with you, Goo, because it's Guru.
It's also plausible that the Warriors would rescind his credential the night before the season
God, I
starts.
love that part of it. Tim Jordan,
that would have been amazing.
The great engineer.
Yeah, I'm not
be honest,
cool.
Did you for a hot second, did you feel like you were in trouble?
No, I didn't until I got inside the premises and Steiny goes, out loud on the air, on the back of your credential. And I'm saying to myself, let me get this straight. I said, we were outside. But then I was like, oh, boy, there is something on there. So Tim slips out of here and tells the great James Kincaid, who comes up to me, and he brought me up on the elevator. We had a good conversation, freshly married. And he goes, Guru, did you take that photo with Steph? I go, yeah. He goes, you have to come with me. Dude, I really thought they got the Goo like, oh, my God, it's over.
They finally got the Goo.
Yeah, but that ain't cool, man. I really, for 40 seconds, you lost it all because you wanted to pitch with the president of the NBA, man.
I think it might have been worth it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it might have been worth it.
Dude, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, who needs this job rather than a pick with the chef.
Yeah, that's all.
What's still going to be with you?
And I could see you down in Raymond Ritter's office saying, "You know what? The chef wanted to pick with me."
Right.
He initiated it. Yeah.
Man, I got to tell you what. Every person we've talked to today, they've been awesome, but they just, and this is nothing you don't know, they just speak so kindly and fondly of the guy that Steph Curry is. He could have the ego as big as the Empire State Building. I was telling Whitley this, but he's down to earth. And that's why today on the phone, he could have just kept moving past me through the bro nod. He said, hold on, I ain't let go of that one. And we chopped it up. Willard and I took the picture, but I'm proud. How about that?
I'll say this. This is something that I say to my sons who I golf with a lot.
Love it.
And when they are frustrated and they're not hitting the ball well or whatever, I always tell them, and this was a lesson that I learned when I was a kid, stop worrying so much about your game to the point where you're no longer fun to play with. So don't just ask someone at the end of the day, did you have fun? But were you fun to play with? And it's something that I think that Curry gets more than just about any major celebrity that I've ever met before, which is he understands the value of being fun to play with, being fun to be around, making other people feel seen. I was just asked here in the studio when I was looking at your video for the very first time, when the video is the picture side by side with your lying commentary about the experience.
Man.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was watching this for the first time, and Maddie looks at me and he goes, honestly, you think LeBron would have done that? And I'm like, no, LeBron wouldn't have done. There is a party of one in terms of NBA superstars who would have done that, and that is Steph Curry.
On the phone.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just hit me in the cardiac, Dibs.
The man was on the phone. And it's a little bit different because it is you, Goo, and he knows you. And, I mean, you don't like to hear about this or admit to it, but you are the Steph Curry of the station, and you are the most likable, lovable figure on our station. So, and Steph knows that. He's no dummy. Now, if it would have been me or Willard or anybody else, maybe it goes differently.
It would have been the same.
I mean, maybe.
I appreciate
But
the love and
he knows
compliment.
you. He knows you, and you guys have had interactions. You've had conversations, and so when he sees you, he knew immediately that you were there to be working, and he paused his conversation to
no doubt, man.
to snap a pic with you.
Only
his
one
phone.
of us. Only one of us took the Warriors against the field last year, Goo. Only one of us.
You know
and
what?
he knows that.
Hey, he hears
keeps,
everything.
He keeps receipts.
Only one of us took the field against the Warriors in the Dallas series.
Wow.
I mean,
hey, Willard, you know what? I can't have that
true.
moment back at our remote, but it's been eating at me.
What's this?
And it's been your question about do they got a championship roster? And I ain't backtracking on Michael Jackson, but real quick before we get to the Niners game tonight and the Warriors tomorrow, it wasn't about the roster. I took the question I answered out of context. It was about the stuff going on behind the scenes that cut me so much as a Warrior fan last year. And to see young Brandon Pajinski sit down, and I asked him about a video that was floating around during the offseason with him and Steph in a gym working out. The guy looked me in the face, young Pajinski, and said, Steph, he took care of me. He checked on me. We did things. And I'm like, that, I wanted to jump up like I had the Holy Ghost, like, Willard, he's a rookie. That's what I'm talking about. And that's why I feel like Steph has taken on started with the Game 7 speech, but he's taken on more of I ain't going to be here for another 15 years. You know, we still got action, but that's what I'm talking about. The vet checking on the rookie, not because he has to, Willard, because he wants to.
Well,
and that just spoke to the essence of Curry, man.
I think it speaks to the essence of where the Warriors are right now. However, that lasts about, let's see, 24.
Oh.
That lasts about 32 hours, right? And what I mean by that is there is sort of a soft underbelly feel right now to this roster. Part of it is because we're coming off of a year where their chemistry or lack thereof ruined the season. And so this year, now they're reacting in the other way. I likened it last week. The Warriors feel like a group that just got out of an abusive relationship. That's what they look like. And they are just, everything is happy and fun, and everybody's adults, and everybody's got all this love for one another, and they're heaping praise, and that's wonderful. That goes as far as the standings go, though. We get excited about that stuff, provided that it's leading to wins. If the Warriors come out of the gate and go 4-6 in their first 10 games, nobody cares if they're all getting along. But I think what you're tapping into is definitely where the Warriors are right now. And I think it has a lot to do with why the fan base has started to accept Chris Paul the way that it has. They've done a good job of pitching this group as something that they're feeling it. They are feeling it. Again, it's got to lead to wins, but yeah, man, they look like a happy group right now.
And it starts tomorrow. I couldn't think of a better opponent. Not just, hey, we got the news from Shams, Dibs, that Draymond's not going to be out there. It seemed like he was getting close. But you can't tell me, and I know you. I call you Machiavelli of the station. You would have called me Curry, Tupac. I'm telling you, there's no part of Chris Paul that doesn't want to take it to the Suns. Yeah, you went out and got Bradley Beal. You basically replaced me for him. What better way to get off to a good start tomorrow on national TV, Dibs, and kick the Suns' ass?
Right, and he'll get the start, which will be, it's unconfirmed. We'll have Steve Kerr today at 5 o'clock, and
awesome.
We may ask him what his starting lineup will be, and he'll dodge it, but you would imagine that Chris Paul is going to be in there, especially because it's against Phoenix, but I didn't expect... No.
Uh-oh. I don't know. I'm not as confident as you are. I don't know. I don't know about that.
I would expect him to be in the starting lineup, and we can ask Steve Kerr that at 5 o'clock. I mean, I don't know if you...
Willard, wow.
I mean, what you go with...
you're replacing...
TJP?
You're replacing your power forward. So
right.
I wouldn't replace him with Chris Paul.
So you don't think that streak of Chris Paul starting means anything in this scenario?
I don't know who it means anything to. That's up to all of them. But yeah, I am not that. When he said that last week was a dress rehearsal, I believed him.
Wow.
And Chris Paul didn't start.
Yeah.
And Draymond was not available, and Looney was not available, and Chris Paul still didn't start. So. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
We'll ask him.
Tomorrow night, when we'll be out there live at Chase Center and the team store.
Yeah,
and you're there
can't wait.
in the suite now, which is awesome. And, man, in the meantime, all eyes on tonight in a game that feels tougher with each passing hour than it had been in the previous weekends. And it feels like a bigger game based on what we saw last night with Philadelphia and Miami, too.
It's so interesting, guys. It's like 1 week in the NFL is a month, 4 weeks worth of games. And I promised myself, Willard, Dibs, I wouldn't come in and I wouldn't be a part of it. But it's so hard not to watch what Cleveland did as far as the adjectives and the greatness I put on their defense. They made some plays yesterday, but let Gardner Minshew just drive the ball up and down the field. They got the W. Buffalo, Detroit, all the flavors of the month or the weeks, and then they have their day. No Trent Williams. To me, guys, that's a big deal for young Brock Purdy playing his first ever Monday Night Football game. But, Willard, I'm sitting here as confident as I am thinking this is going to be a walk in the park for the Niners. It may not be because it's the NFL.
Yeah, not going to be a walk in the park at all. They may win by 10. They may win by 20. But first
they might lose by 7.
I mean, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Twitch and YouTube powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I have made a promise not to tell anybody else how to fan. Y'all can do whatever you want, but I think it is absolute nut job behavior that our feet are up the way they are about this 49er football team, acting like the wins just belong to the 49ers, no matter what city they're in, no matter who the other team has, no matter who's in, who's out. The complacency that I feel right now with the fan base, to me, is a complete head scratcher, and the evidence is all over the NFL every week. The Buffalo Bills cannot win a football game. They could not stop Mac Jones. The 49ers, the last time we saw them, and I obviously get all of the aspects that went into this, but they got beat by a team that was being quarterbacked by P.J. Walker. Like, this is the freaking NFL, and every game is hard, and the 49ers are going in shorthanded as a massive road favorite on Monday night. There's all kinds of things that would suggest tonight is going to be difficult.
Wow.
Doesn't mean they can't do it, and I expect them to, but this is not a walk in the park.
You know what? Tell me how you feel without telling us how you really feel. Willard, and this is no bad on you, But what you just said about the people, the fans, the 49er fans with their feet up, not the entitlement, but I had you in that group, and it's almost a compliment. I had you in the group where you just thought this team was invincible. It's about home field advantage, but the reality is just what I told Steiny. It's about the red cross, that symbol, and right now, here we go. Every team has it, as Steiny tried to remind me, but every team doesn't have it. Like, it feels like the Niners are experiencing these back-to-back.
Right, but at the same time, this is the first time they've really had to face that sort of injury adversity. I know Dre Greenlaw missed last week's game against Cleveland, but now you've got no Trent and you've got no Debo, and McCaffrey is a maybe. So these are big ones, but you look at the situation of a season, 17 games, and Pittsburgh, a team that you beat earlier, turned out to be better than you thought. And Cleveland with a nice bounce back. I know it was a little bit of a back and forth kind of a ball game, and Myles Garrett absolutely wrecked the game like he didn't wreck the game against you.
He blocked the field goal.
He did everything. If you want to say something about defense, he did it. He had a pass defense. He had a forced fumble. He had a sack. He had a block kick.
Jeez.
He did everything, and they needed all of it to win by 1 over Indy.
DPO.
I'm telling you.
Why?
No doubt.
There's a guy in Pittsburgh, though, Willard. It's going to be close.
Not right now. It's not.
Yeah.
Look, there's all kinds of fantastic defensive players.
Yes.
Nick Bosa is taking too much criticism for what is actually a pretty good season if you look at the metrics. But Myles Garrett right now is the DPO.
No doubt
His
about it,
effect
man.
on a football game is absolutely unbelievable. I know it's wild to talk about a defensive player when the final score was 39-38, but if you watch that game, if you know. You watch that game, that guy, they lose by 17 if they don't have him in that game.
And they don't beat the Niners if he wasn't in that game.
Right. So in terms of last week's loss, I think it looks a little bit better now, even though that they gave up 38, but they still found a way to win. PJ Walker off the bench for Deshaun Watson. And
they're 4-2, right?
Yeah.
It's a 4-2 football team.
A win's a win.
Yep.
And, that division, they're a half game back of Baltimore, which, again, the Baltimore team.
Good Lord.
I mean, Lamar Jackson, I need a big George Kittle night for me to get by John. Who the hell is John?
I saw that. I walked in, and he didn't even say hello to me. He flashed his phone through a window, and he's like, look at this. 164 to 146
again,
or 48 or whatever, with Kittle on the come and no Debo, which could mean more Kittle.
It could. I'm going to need a lot of Kittle, Goo. I mean, my team, I haven't given up the most points, but I've given up some points in fantasy. And last night, I'm watching that game, and I'm screaming. I got my baby in my arms, your niece, baby Mila.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm watching the game, and I just scream out, stop throwing him the ball. And my wife's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, they need to stop throwing it to A.J. Brown. It's killing me.
Oh, he went off. Hey, I went on a little tangent.
Every week.
I just want your thoughts, Dibs. This might affect our relationship, but I'm gonna say it anyway, Willard.
Wow.
I'm a fair dude. I got my imperfections and my warts. I got a lot of them. But I as a parent, a husband, I try to be as fair as a friend as I possibly can. I had no dog in the fight of the Steelers-Rams game. I'm about the shield. And watching what the NFL has become in regard to officiating it's borderline stupid. There was a play that was the wrong play. It was called the wrong play, but because it wasn't under 2 minutes and it was 2 minutes and 11 seconds, the whole building and everybody watching knew that Kenny Pickett did not get the first down. He was short. But because of the lame rules and the timeout situation, the Rams are trying to win a game. You could come down the road for not having a timeout. We got to sit there and act like the better team won, or we watched the ending that was fair. And then I watched the Browns-Colts. It's like, what are we doing? Then I'm watching Sunday night. You're telling me the Eagles are playing 60 minutes of football, guys, and there's not one flag?
None.
You could call a flag on every play, but there's not. So I'm watching as an innocent bystander like, this could have happened in the Super Bowl. And I'm mainly talking about the Rams-Steelers. Come on, just get it right if we got the technology. Forget about, the 2:11 or you're 11 seconds off for us doing it. What? Let's fix it. How about that? Fix it.
Well, they don't want to fix it. And that's the problem is there's a certain notion of like them having the control over the games. Like last night's a great example. And I saw a tweet from the fake Mike McDaniel account. It's M-I-K McDaniel. And he or she, they cited 7 different calls that should have been flags. And I looked at all 7 and I thought, well, 5 of them for sure. 5 of the 7 should have been flags on Philly, but they had no penalties. How do you have a game with no penalties? Imagine an NBA game where a team does not commit a foul. That's basically what this is.
Foul. Yeah.
Right? So I think that it's broken and they know how to fix it, but for some reason they don't want to fix it.
Well, they have to go through, you know how this works, guys. Like it's got to go through all of the competition committee process, and it's got to do all that. I was throwing this out to Dibs, Goo. I wonder what you think about this because I've heard that this is something that's being discussed in league circles, which is a golden challenge. And it does not have anything to do with your other challenges. And by the way, it does not need to follow the rules of what is quote-unquote reviewable. You get 1 per game. And so you save it for those game-changing moments like the Pittsburgh Rams game where you're like, I don't care if we don't have timeouts. I don't care if this is pass interference that normally is not reviewable. I'm throwing my golden challenge, and you've got to go review whatever the hell it is.
I got a golden challenge.
That's right.
I love it.
You have got to go review what I'm telling you to review and tell me what you see. And if you're wrong, you got to fix it. And scene.
I mean,
did we lose you, Goo?
Yeah, I'm right here. I heard you, Willard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you are.
Hey, I'm with you. The golden, forget the golden corral, but the golden challenge, I'm in. I am in, Willard. But what happened in that game just left a bad taste in my mouth. And Dibs, I thought you were going to bark back. You agree. And if it's broken, how can that be any good for the Shield? Like, that's what I'm missing. Like, how is that a good thing if we're talking about your sport and things that it's apparent to the naked eye, but yet we act like it didn't exist because of some of these stipulations?
It's because you're not turning off your TV and you're not turning away from your gambling app. You're still going to gamble. Fantasy football is at an all-time high, and DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports, is at an all-time high, and everything is just a churn. They're making money. So do they want the game to be fair? I mean, yeah, sure, but they don't have to make the game be fair because when it's not fair and you have Philadelphia not get penalized for a whole game and you've got a Steeler-Ram game that basically ends because of a botch call that can't be reviewed, we're talking about it, and so they don't lose any money. I don't think that these leagues, especially this league, I don't think that they're as consumed by fairness as all the fans are.
No, I agree with that. Willard. But what there does need to be, though, is oversight. We're living in an age of analytics, which means every single player in every single sport basically has like a Carfax report on him. We all know. We know where he's been. We know the strengths. We know the weaknesses. We know the percentages, all of those things. Why are we so afraid? It doesn't mean I'm trying to get anybody fired or attacked. Why are we so afraid to do this with refs as well? It wasn't until today that I read that the head ref from last night's game, his analytics are that he skews toward the home team, like in a really, in an odd way, in a way that is not congruent with the other officials around the league. So
that's not fair.
If that's the case, why isn't something being done about it? Or why aren't you seeing that person be demoted? Or why is that person not getting fewer playoff games or what have you? I hate the fact that Mike McDaniel has to go to a press conference last night afterwards and he's not allowed to speak freely. He cannot walk in there and be like 10 penalties against 0. Are you crazy? What the hell is that? He should be allowed to say that. I just don't understand.
Well, he can say that.
Yeah, and but he has to pay for it.
$50,000.
Yeah, that's not fair. It's not fair. It should be free.
Right.
That's weak sauce.
I think that the next level to this is looking at what you're talking about with referee analytics and then asking yourself, why was that ref given that assignment where Philly's at home and it's a home slanted ref Sunday night game? And you start to realize that and I love sports, and the more I look at sports as an older guy, the more I realize that to bet on sports in that fashion is absolute suicide.
Yeah.
Because you look at that ref in that spot, that team, and, the NFL wants that team to do well. Philadelphia's a big market, and they're a great story, and they're a great team. So do you assign a ref? Is it random that he happened to be given that assignment?
That's a good
I don't
question.
think so.
Yeah, I don't know. But you can bet. You just bet the other way. I was on the Eagles -3 last night, and I'm still able to sit here and go, that was crap.
Yeah.
That was absolute crap.
Doubt about it.
That receiver,
you and I both, Willard.
was it Wilson that was heading down the left sideline?
The face mask.
The face mask. I'm like, the guy's trying to do
It was incidental.
Great, fine. It's still a penalty.
Well,
I'm not
no
saying
doubt.
it needs to be a 15-yarder, but it's pass interference. And when you see a guy's head like jerk to the left,
McCaffrey.
I don't know how. Look, Dibs, you know this. I'm usually one to say, I don't know how we expect these people to see this stuff at this pace in real time. The umpires in baseball can't see the little box on the screen that we can. And then we get mad when a 100-mile-an-hour fastball that is a half of an inch outside,
right.
And we're like, this idiot can't see it. Right, he can't see it. We can barely see it. The hitter can't even see it. It's a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So I'm not coming down the road of you've got to get everything right on the field.
Sure.
It's incredibly hard. But there are certain calls that would seem rather obvious
in real
time, and there needs to be more oversight and more backing.
Big Brother should be watching it all the time.
Right, for the fact that it is so hard to see in real time.
You know what? Andy's watching. Hey, I'm listening to you guys. I'm going to get out of here. Have a good show. 31-17 Niners.
If you run into a Warrior on the way to your car, what are you going to do?
Just throw up the do sign,
what
Chris
are you
Brown.
gonna do?
Just throw up the do sign.
Thank you. That's a
All right, I love y'all. All right,
go.
I go.